Welcome, everybody, to this week's DevCentral Connects. My name is Boo, your host this week. I am a community evangelist with the F5 DevCentral team. And this week, we are looking forward to chatting with Aubrey King, who I will bring on in just a second here. We have a few things to chat about, but one of the first things that I'm going to mention is that while you may be watching this live right now, you can also catch this in a podcast format as well. So you might be watching from YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Make sure you're following us on those. Hit a like if you have been enjoying this content. But you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and on Spotify as well. So you can listen to us as well as watch us wherever you might be. Now, a couple of things that I will mention here. I am wearing one of our F5 holiday sweaters, which there's still time. I'm gonna still wear this sweater for a couple more weeks. It's still winter for us out here. And so you can catch one of these over at shop.f5.com, or you can book a meeting and chat one-on-one with one of our specialists, get an update on F5 technologies, get an update on really any technologies that have to do with F5 at this point. There is a lot of stuff out there that you might not be up to date on, and they will chat with you about that. And then send you a free sweater if you are in North America. So would love to be able to see other folks with one of these sweaters on. And a couple of folks that we will highlight here. We've got Happy New Year from Alex. Happy New Year. This is the first DevCentral Connects of 2023. So really looking forward to kicking off a year of good fun with everybody on this show. Happy New Year from the DevCentral research team. Leslie, Happy New Year to you as well. And Prem Kumar, Happy New Year as well. Oh, well, we got a new viewer today, Prem. So yes, what is it? Prem says, Happy 2023. What is this about? No idea. When I clicked on the notification, this is DevCentral Connects. And so that's a great segue, actually. So for, if I back up in history here, DevCentral has been live streaming for a couple of years at this point in this format. However, previous to this format, we were actually live streaming in other ways as well. However, this what you see now, this incarnation of this, is a weekly live stream show that we've also turned into a podcast as of recent as well. DevCentral Connects itself. This particular program is going to serve as a connection into the DevCentral community, so a bit of a narration of what's happening within DevCentral. If you're not familiar, we run community.f5.com, which is a home to tens of thousands of users, technology enthusiasts out there who are F5 users or potentially not F5 users, but they're on there to learn about technology and share information on there. There's lots of articles, technical articles. There's lots of question and answers within the forums, and then we have also special groups inside of there as well that cover off a few different things. And so we cover that connection into our own community, and then we also connect into the broader IT industry community as well. And so that is what this particular program serves. And we have a couple more Happy New Year's in here as well that I'm going to highlight here. We got Belkis and we've got Keen as well. So glad to have you listening to us. And as the research team mentions as well, we'd love to know where everybody is viewing and listening from. We see a lot of folks out there. We do see in our stats that people are watching from worldwide. Over 2/3 of the folks that check out this program are actually from worldwide. So we've got Prem is in India. Awesome. And we've got Adewale. Awesome. Happy New Year. And so without further ado, there's a couple other things that we do on this YouTube channel. So I'm going to bring on Aubrey here and we can talk about that. Aubrey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Boo. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. Enjoyed my holidays. Our snow has almost left at this point. There's a couple small patches here. How's things looking out there?
We have no snow here in upstate New York.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about Buffalo, but I would imagine it all melted. I mean, after that giant dump that happened, a week ago or whatever, they had 50 degree weather, actually up into the low 60s, and it just flooded. So we had a
wow
big swing in temperature here.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. If anybody else has been experiencing any snow, let us know. If you are in another hemisphere, let us know how your weather is like right now, and let us know if we should be jealous or not. So Aubrey, you've for a while there, we were all working on DevCentral Connects,
Yeah.
but it felt like the community needed to be served a couple things with a little bit more focus, and so you've kind of taken on one of those focuses and ran with it. So maybe we can talk about what you've been working on for the past few months.
Sure, most definitely. I mean, I have definitely been busy. We wanted to make sure that we had our hands around the podcast, right? That has been my focus. And if anyone hasn't, been up to snuff completely on my resume, right? I do have a video production degree with a focus on audio, specifically. So this really is kind of well suited for kind of what I'm trained for, in addition to having the F5 skill set, which is nice. What that has translated to, though, was I wanted to make sure that you know the podcast thing was, it's a little different than radio, which is what I was trained on way back in the day, because I am in fact old. So I wanted to kind of get up to speed on that, and then we launched a podcast called This Month in Security, which is a combination. It's sort of a culmination of efforts from the security incident response team, as well as F5 Labs. So we get together once a month, and we really just kind of sit down and talk about everything that we can, that we think has been, I guess, formative over the last month or so, and just kind of keep track of that. Now, in addition to that, of course, we've got DevCentral Connects, and that was high on my radar to get a podcast for. We've had this show around for a long time. This is episode what, 107?
107.
Yeah, that's a lot of history. So for us to have an audio translation to it is really fantastic, and it's been well received already. So we're seeing people that are actually going and subscribing there if they can't make the live stream. And as we know, a lot of people have commutes again, which is something that we've missed for the past couple of years. So that has been priority. And one more that's not out yet, but I may as well kind of put it out there. The third podcast, which we should be releasing, it's already recorded, is a to be determined name for a podcast that's focused on service provider. So our first segment was on service chaining in the 5G core, and how that differs from 4G, the evolution from 3G to 4G to 5G, and on and on. So if 3GPP standards are your thing, that this forthcoming podcast is right up your alley. So that really kind of rounds it out as far as the podcasts are concerned. Boo, that's quite a bit to take on, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So I think this is in response to, some of the feedback that we've heard. People want to dive into some of the technologies a little bit further. So we'll still run this program, DevCentral Connects. We'll connect out there with the industry broadly, but then we also have some focus areas, which we were doing for a short time within the DevCentral lineup, focusing in on certain technologies. However, I think we kind of needed to massage that a little bit. So I think we're in a good place now. So for folks who want to dive into security a little bit further, we have a programming around that, into service provider a little bit further. And then I don't want to give it away completely, but Jason is going to join me next week and dive into some of the stuff that he's been working on, which is a lot more hands-on keyboard as far as F5 technologies and diving into that. That being said, we also have, as long as you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, also have other, not necessarily live stream or podcast type content, but other hands-on content that is on the YouTube channel that dives into technologies, not necessarily interactive in that way, but we'll check out what Jason's content is that's a little bit more interactive. And we have other ideas for ways that we can incorporate live stream with hands-on keyboard type stuff as well. It's the recorded stuff that's on the YouTube channel is really great for hands-on keyboard type demo stuff because it's compressed, it's been edited already, so people want to go and just grab the info, get it, and then replicate it in their environment, which is great. So Livestream kind of fits where maybe it's more collaborative type stuff that we can do on there that isn't like the how-to that gets compressed into 5 minutes, which, I prefer to watch my how-to content in more of a compressed format, get the info I need and get out of there. But yeah, I think we're going to be able to serve everybody in the ways that we're working on this. So I'm looking forward to how we're doing it.
Yeah, I think so too. And there are some really, really cool things coming up, I think, in the future. One of the things I think you're kind of hinting at, I'm going to give it away a little bit. We are looking at doing a lab live stream, which would be nice. Not sure on the frequency and whatnot, but for me, this is kind of special. One of the things that I've got planned for this, because it really will be a collaborative effort, I think, between Boo and Jason and myself. So we will kind of have, I guess, a playground to play with, and to be able to kind of collaborate on some projects. So what does that mean? Well, I know Boo has been part of multiple communities through time prior to working for F5 or even working with F5, and myself. I've been a member of the Linux community in many, many ways since 1998. So I'm anxious to kind of inject some of that back into what we bring to our community. I think we could probably all agree that Linux skills are paramount to the success with F5 today. Just if you look at TMOS, you are looking at a Linux-based operating system. If you look at what's going on in the distributed cloud, it's all Kubernetes and Linux-based, and of course Nginx. Right, this is one of the biggest open source projects on the planet. So I think it behooves all of us in the F5 community to make sure that we are incorporating some more of that. So I think you'll find, at least me, I've got a couple of guests that I've already talked to about coming onto the show to say, hey, can you show me how to install this thing that I have not installed yet, so that we can have content go forward that is relevant for F5, and maybe you're building your labs around Nginx or around Big IP, that you might not get anywhere else, or if you don't have time to sit at the Linux Foundation for 3 hours to take a course, we may be able to give you a video that can help you with some of those base skills. That's
Yeah.
kind of one of my focuses coming up for this first quarter, at least.
Yeah. There's a couple of videos out there already that cover off some home lab stuff. Like I created a video on my Intel NUC, putting that together. So if folks out there want to join us, potentially, you don't have to have an Intel NUC, but installed VMware on that one. Maybe we can get some other videos on Proxmox and KVM and whatnot as well. But I think the whole idea of building up some home lab stuff, a lot of DevCentral content is around lab type stuff, not necessarily production. We have a lot of documentation that can get you your solutions into production, but a lot of people want to, build this stuff in their labs, and that's a great playground for us to be able to build in. So we'd love to do, a lot more of that content and serve the community in that way. So yeah, I think we're all here to learn together, and I think we've got a lot of ways that we can approach that, however you like to consume your content.
I would love to throw a question out there to anybody who's listening or watching as well. If there is something content-wise, of course, that you're not seeing from DevCentral, please drop a note in the chat or reach out to us on community.f5.com. Boo and I are definitely happy to work with any of our community members to try and get relevant content out to you.
Yep. We're always massaging the content lineup, it seems like. So that's how it's been going so far. Since you mentioned community.f5.com, so if you are listening right now, that's great. If you're watching right now, sometimes we pull up stuff on screen, and one of the things that I want to pull up on screen is community.f5.com. So if you head over there, you go under groups. Over the top navigation bar, there's something called groups. Under community groups, there's something called DevCentral Connects. So you head into there, and you will actually find the show threads, is what we're calling them. So every week when we run these shows, we start a show thread on that. We throw in all the articles that we want to talk about, because as we're connecting out with the community, we want to talk about the things that are happening within the broader IT industry. So we have a number of things that we want to chat about. They're not all going to be discussed on the show, but we can always discuss them within the show thread. And so there is a thread there for that kind of offline communication after the show happens. And we realize that people are watching this live from different time zones, and you might not be able to watch it live from the time zone that you're in. So this is a great way to connect with us. Myself, Aubrey, Jason, Peter Silva, we're all on the DCC forum watching this and participating in those conversations. We're on other parts of community.f5.com as well, participating in those conversations, but we're definitely on this part. So head over to there. You have to request membership. Not that you have to pay anything. You just have to click that you want to join the group, and then you can be part of these conversations. And so one of the things that I did want to bring up, first of all, out of the recent news is Southwest Airlines. And if you're in North America, this is definitely something that you're aware of. This has been all over the news. If you're not in North America, you probably have heard about this just because it's been a major focus on IT systems and what happens when you potentially lose data centers in a winter storm. I'm not sure if that was the exact issue there, but it sounded like there was, due to a storm, big IT storm, or sorry, a big winter storm that was happening here in North America, that they lost some systems. And if we check out this, out of 2,800 flights that were canceled on the Wednesday of the week of Christmas, 2,500 of those canceled flights were Southwest.
Oh.
And so pretty crazy, since this is, one of I think it's the biggest travel time of the year, especially in North America, and having all those systems go down and all those flights canceled. And I know personally, it wasn't Southwest, but I had family affected by canceled flights, and it really throws off what your holidays are like when you're all trying to get together. So yeah, pretty crazy time. I don't know if you knew anybody who was affected, Aubrey.
I did actually, in a different way. Most of my family is up here or doesn't really travel for the holidays at that time of year. But I've spoken a couple of times about kind of checking out fish this past summer, and in that community there were a number of people who make this it's like fish Mecca on New Year's Eve in New York City, and there were people who just could not get there at all. So what you saw is, I felt terrible about this. We've talked a lot about reseller bots with F5 Labs recently, driving ticket prices at for any major events way through the roof. So there were people who paid $250, $280 per ticket for this event.
Oh, no.
And then suddenly, due to the Southwest closures, they were trying to sell these tickets at like $15 a pop.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it turned out to be, a couple of nights, I guess, turned out to be pretty much local shows because of this. Yeah. So.
Oh, wow. This is, and we've seen, I've seen a couple additional articles to this saying, hey, they're going to work on modernizing the IT systems. But me and you both, having come from sales, we've been through this before, where you've worked with an IT department, and I feel for them because they've probably been screaming from the rooftop for years now that they need to modernize, they need to get on top of redundancy. They've got old software that's not supported anymore. They've got old systems that haven't been evergreened, potentially old hardware, potentially their redundancy plan, their DR plans haven't been tested for a while because they know that it's not going to recover. Once they test that DR scenario, it's not going to come back. And so, at this point, I think they've got the upper hand. The IT department probably has the upper hand as far as getting some budget to revamp this thing. I can't see the company surviving without going through an IT modernization now.
No, I think you're probably right. And IT modernization is such a different thing in the transportation issue these days too, because you're talking about on plane type systems as well, and things that are very, very distributed. So to try and squeeze a whole bunch of old hardware or old software and things like that into the new kind of modern IT paradigm is nearly impossible. It's going to be hard.
Yeah. I don't know if you've worked with any airline customers. I've worked with some transportation type customers, and at least the last ones I spoke to were doing some interesting things around, having basically mini data centers inside of a bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've seen a YouTube video on a 777, I believe, that had basically a data center inside of there, like a couple racks worth of gear inside of there. I'm sure some of that serves the AV system so that you can have all your movies and stuff on there. What kind of stuff have you seen on the airlines?
So some of the stuff that I saw, well, on airlines, it's been more kind of the movie systems, like you say. Some of the more interesting stuff that I worked with were, cruise ships or even shipping
Mm,
industry. Wow. I mean, when you think about trucks, right, that ship things all over the place, or trains pulling into a station, they don't always have network across their journeys. So, you're finding a lot of things like with these trucks that will do auto sensing. Where am I in the world? Oh, I have a network now. Let me geolocate myself. Let me find out what facilities I have available to me locally in my infrastructure that I'd expect to have. And then from there, let me relay all data back out to all the computing systems that I need to. So this was actually a distributed cloud project I had worked on maybe 4 months ago, and that was going to tell things like how much they had spent on fuel, how much the truck
mm.
weighed at the beginning, at the end, tire pressure, and on and on and on and on. So much data that they can get out of this, that they then use to kind of plan for the future. So
Mhm. Yeah. There was well, just to plug this, there was recently a video that I released with the office F5's Office of the CTO. They wrote a book, Enterprise Architecture for Digital Business. One of the recent chapters, we do a little video to introduce each chapter, and the recent chapter that was introduced was around how data is the new oil. And so taking information like that, predictive data around what the physical things inside of your environment that actually run your business, a bus or a plane, taking that information and being able to translate that into value. And what is that value? Well, predicting when something's going to break down, because it's going to be probably 5, 10 times cheaper to fix it before it's broken rather than have it break in the middle of winter and having all of your flights getting canceled. And I don't know how much this is costing Southwest, but would have been a lot nicer if some of this stuff was kind of done ahead of time. So yeah, that kind of data would be very, very handy to have.
agreed.
Um, so another thing that we want to chat about today too, you brought this one up with me, Aubrey, but maybe you can walk us through this one. Samsung's Android app signing key has leaked as being used to sign malware.
That's right. So this one actually is a little bit older. I'm not sure what the date is on the article there. I think it's probably a month old, but
Hmm.
I know that it hasn't received widespread kind of recognition at this point, at least not so far as I'm concerned. We've been talking about it on This Month in Security a bit because this is big. So if you have Android, of course, definitely listen in here, because if you understand how app signing keys work and the stores for smartphones, essentially the idea here is only an application signer with the appropriate key can upload a new piece of software into either of these main stores. And the nice thing about that is then you've got relatively secure software for your system, and your system, being a tablet or a smartphone, is not going to be able to be compromised nearly as easily as it would if it were kind of a point and click and you can get software from anywhere you want to download it. Well, we have had a couple of instances where app signing keys were taken in the past, and this one is a doozy here. It was just exposed that a few OEMs. So Samsung's not alone, right? Samsung, LG, and MediaTek are the three big names out there. And then another company called Sirocco, which is a manufacturer for tablets that, at least in North America, come largely from Walmart. So they are very, very highly distributed at this point. And what that means is the OEM's key was taken. And with the OEM key, not only can you inject malware into software, you can actually inject malware into the system functions of Android devices. So let's also keep in mind that Android devices are also sometimes things you don't think about, like a set-top box or a television or a refrigerator, things like that. The Internet of Things, there is quite a bit of Android out there. So the idea here is if a bad actor can take this key and then compromise software, upload it into the store, you think you're getting from a trusted location, right? You're not responding to something like a smishing attack where you got an SMS and you go download a piece of software from some web server. That's not what we're talking here. We're talking you go to the store legitimately, install this software, and some bad actor can screen record everything you've got, including your bank, your social security number, whatever you have. So this definitely is a big one. And where the story gets really nuts to me is you've got Google, I should say, right? Google actually exposed this. They were the ones who found this and said, look, we found malware in these OEMs repositories. And here's the weird part. 6 years ago was where it looks like Samsung was breached. So it has been open for 6 years. To me, that's a huge, scary story, and that's my reason for bringing it here. So
this is, interesting. One of the first things that you said there is that the signing keys provide you relatively secure platforms relative to whether or not that key has been leaked or not.
That's right. That is right.
And that's a great point too. Like their Android runs on things that you don't know. Like we have all, iPhones in my household here, but that is also, there is also a number of Android devices that run in the house that I don't really think about. I know my TV, when was the last time you updated your TV? Because I recall now seeing an update a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't recall, and I have two Samsung TVs in my house and an old Sony that are all online. So I gotta look.
Yeah, it's and you start to wonder, oh, what is my TV going to do that's bad inside of your network? It could do a lot of really bad things. It could just go grab information from other stuff in your network, like maybe you have a NAS. I see more and more people getting NASs now. That I think NAS is 5 years ago was something that was more of like an IT hobbyist or an IT person would get because they were a little bit more familiar with what they could do with it. They needed centralized storage and they would store important data on there and back up important data. They don't back up useless data, they back up important data on your NAS. And now, just this Christmas season, winter season, had a question from my father-in-law who wants to look at external storage. He's not an IT guy, but kind of is leading towards getting a NAS in his environment where he would be putting important data on there. And if your TV goes and figures out, hey, I've got a NAS over here, how many people actually put security on their NAS devices because they figure it's inside of their home network and it's safe? What kind of important information is on there that you're saving and you're trying to back up and potentially backing up elsewhere as well? That's your TV can go and get that kind of stuff now from you.
That's right. And I mean, if you got somebody who's really, really clever, ultimately, we think of, well, we have encryption in our homes. Well, we do have encryption in our homes, but if you've got somebody who's really great and enables some sort of, quantum computer to actually proxy in and sniff your local network, they can crack all those keys in no time flat. I mean, we're looking at, 8,000 plus bit keys to really defend against quantum attacks. So,
right. Yeah. You kind of wonder, okay, how many people in their home network have been rolling their keys from 2048 to 4096? Like it's not really a standard thing that you tell your mother-in-law to be doing.
No, but I guess the moral of my news story here is upgrade your Android devices, all of them. That's probably the safest way to go about this now. Google's on top of it, and they're really looking for it at this point.
Yeah, I did get a notification, so I'm thankful that they could at least get that out there. Who knows what's been happening for the past 6 years, but at least as of recent, I'm updated. Okay, one more thing that I'll bring up here we do try to cut these at 30 minutes, but I think this one's worth chatting about as well. LastPass. So LastPass admits attackers have a copy of customers' password vaults. And this one is another one that's come up in conversations with family who, you finally get them to the point, you finally get your family to the point where, okay, they're going to use password management tools so that they don't have to remember all the different passwords out there. They don't have to reuse passwords out there. They don't have to put passwords inside of potentially a text file that they put on their NAS, but they actually have proper password management. And LastPass has been going through some tough times this past year, I guess, with some hacks that they've had. And so now, they're at this point where, the password vaults still have to get cracked. And potentially if you used a decent enough strong password, then it might take a while to crack that vault. But if you were not using a strong password for your password vault, then you might be a little bit worried here. I think you guys have chatted about this too on with the labs and cert folks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this was a huge compromise. It looked like this one came from essentially cloud storage too. It was something that they got hit from the side. So it wasn't like the attackers came in their front door, at least. But nonetheless, compromised user data is a heck of a lot different than compromised LastPass system data.
Yeah. Yeah. So for folks who have been, I'm sure everybody knows at this point, or hopefully folks know, but some advice that we've seen out there, identify the places that you're going to have to do some classification yourself, kind of in your head, I guess, if you're just using this for personal use, classification of what sites are out there that I need to really focus on and go through an exercise of changing some passwords. You might be looking for alternatives to LastPass. I'm not going to call anyone out here and use the DevCentral brand to associate ourselves with any one particular password management tool out there, but there's many out there that I'm sure you can find that are good alternatives that you can throw the new passwords on, and then going into LastPass and copying out the other passwords that you might have stored in there for other sites as well. But it's going to be a bit of work for folks to go through and start changing all of those passwords.
Agreed. Actually, it's funny. Just an idea for anyone out there listening. I just put a calendar note on my family calendar for all of us, like all my whole immediate family, to sit down one Saturday and just do this all together. So just hang out and do Family Cybersecurity Day.
Yeah.
Really.
It's what nerdy, it's come to.
What's that?
That's what it's come to now.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, that is it for today, I think. We are going to wrap this one up. There's a number of other articles, if you head over to community.f5.com, that are in the show thread. We'd love to chat further about them. Would love to hear if anybody has been affected by the Southwest flight cancellations, if that did affected at all your holiday season or holidays with families or whatnot. Would love to know if your TVs have been updated recently. Would love to know. Or you don't have to tell us if you're a LastPass customer, actually. Don't tell us that. Don't reveal that info, but do reveal what your password hygiene is like at home, potentially. How do you manage passwords yourself, with your family? Do you have to share any passwords? Some strategies around that. If you have any strategies around how folks would be migrating off of LastPass, feel free to share that in the show thread as well. So that's about it for today. Thank you very much, Aubrey, for joining me today. Where can they find yourself and the other content that you've been putting out?
So I can be found, of course, on community.f5.com, always Twitter at Aubrey King F5, and also on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/F5security, and DevCentral Connects.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks all.
Now. Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.